I'm going to try to go a little bit more into originality. Nothing is wholly original. I've said this before. I mean, whatever kind of story angle, idea, character, or whatever kind of setup, it probably has been done before. Tolkien built on like the Odyssey, the Iliad, stuff from the past there, and other things. And he brought in his own linguistic, kind of sensibilities and everything else. Every good story has a timeless factor that has come from something that had came before. Each generation of, like, whether they're entertainers, writers, artists, or whatever, we all build up on what's come before. So when I say that nothing is original, nothing is wholly original. You can add your own 2 cents to the wheel, and give yourself a kind of like your own flavor to whatever you're going for. Because again, like, even Uplift Protocol is a mishmash of all sorts of things I enjoyed in the past, but it's not wholly original by any stretch or means. Uh, it just has its 2 cents added to it of what I want to see in a book series or in characters. You know, that's the big push of it, is you just have to put your own spin on things. So too often, like, because especially since I've looked into some reading and writing things lately, a lot of writers or a lot of artists would be like, I have to be original, trademark. It's like, no, you don't have to be original. The thing of it is that it's the fight with, like, all the established IPs versus discovering new stuff. I guess that's what it really is. Like, even all the established IPs are not original. Superman was based on a bunch of heroic, stuff from Socrates and everything else. The four cardinal virtues. Superman has that in spades. Um, but even he was like a build off the strongman of the 30s, uh, the contemporary kind of sensibilities of that day. He was a bit of like a something to to aspire to. Uh, can you become Superman in reality? No, but you can aspire to all the ideals he upholds. Again, nothing is wholly original. Don't get stuck on the idea like I have to make something that's 100% original. It's like, no, it won't be original. Somebody else has probably come up with the same idea before, even all the way back into the Stone Age. Seriously, don't worry about originality, guys. What some people might find boring is because they don't find it interesting with their own wheelhouse of taste. Because everybody's going to have different tastes. Some tastes might overlap, but I think sometimes that's caught up with the whole idea of like, oh, this has got to be original. No. Uh, say like say like you really love murder mysteries or something like that. So you'll constantly go to a bunch of like the more pulpy Dashiell Hammett type setups. Well, do you think he was the first one to do stuff, or Dick Tracy, or anyone else, or Sherlock Holmes? Was Sherlock Holmes even the first original series to do a bunch of different kinds of mysteries? Like, no. Again, everybody's built up on stuff from the past, and then they just put their own spin on it, their own personal wheelhouses. Like me, I love cosmic shenanigans. I love kind of like galactic spanning stuff like Green Lantern. Um, I wanted to do the superhero space opera aspect that Invincible had, but without all the more adult crap that I didn't want in it. Like abortion, the guy having guilt over like, oh, I'm so sorry, I wasn't here to help you make the decision to abort the baby, and the guy that basically his brother was an insane and evil scientist. Yeah, like I don't want to see half of that stuff directly on screen. It's like because it just had too much real world issues attached to it, and that kicked me out of the story because it's like I want to escape from real world issues. So that's what I try to do with my writing. It is by no means or stretch of the imagination original. I just want it to be fun. That's it. because half the time with originality, that's what stops a lot of people from initially taking that first step. Because they'll be like, "Oh, I want to write a story about a magical cat that can grant people wishes," and then they look at some Studio Ghibli stuff and it's like, "Damn, somebody's done that before. Scratch that." It's like, no, you know what? Do what you're gonna do, because I can guarantee you right now it'll be a lot better than whatever Marvel, DC, or any other dead franchises are putting out. I guess this is still my own personal axe to grind, because it's like they had the built-in collateral for cultural influence, but they basically took a shotgun to all their characters' heads and blew their heads off, and now it's nothing but Harley Quinn rip-offs, and like what the literature devil was talking about, where like we're all the women of Marvel. We basically see more in line with the villain because they struggle. It's like, dude, villains. You know what? That's far too prevalent now, and it's old hat to me. Because again, that's not my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is more of aspirational heroes, please. Thank you. So yeah, what some might see as wholly original, like Game of Thrones, I see it as basically bullshit. Again, some people probably see my shit as bullshit, and then they'll be like, "That's not original at all. That's just tired old hat with a boring, extremely straight laced, good character. That's not interesting at all." It's like, well, bitches, I don't see your shit as interesting either. So let's have bygones be bygones, and basically, I'll have fun with my wheelhouse. I guess you can have fun burning down your wheelhouse. That's fine. Because right now, people are starting to tune out from the endless, like, because everybody wants to have the quirky girl, that sort of thing. It's like, oh boy. It's the reason why I'm reading older and older stuff. But I guess to get back on the main point, yeah, yeah, originality, I think, is just kind of like what do you call it? A handicap to where people won't decide to step out their door. And it's like, "Oh, this thing looks like the hero's journey. That's too boring. I'm going to try something more interesting, like the villain's journey." It's like, everybody's doing the villain's journey. I'm just saying, like, you could still add your hat to it, but realize you'll be fighting a sea of floating ab books, just like the paranormal kind of erotica fuckfest that's happening on Amazon right now. And yeah, my show here probably won't ever get monetized because I curse too much. Oh well, that's okay. This isn't my main source of income anyway, nor would it ever be. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, don't worry about being original. Really, it's okay. Take a breath. Write that story about a teenage superhero, working through his issues at school, but just realize that a lot of other people go take that angle too. The biggest thing, I guess, is just put your 2 cents to it, and if it's interesting enough 2 cents, it'll manage to take in people that normally don't go outside their wheelhouse much. And I guess that's also a reason why a lot of established IPs still keep an audience, even though they abuse their audience, like the sequel trilogy with Star Wars. Like, again, I have to use dead franchises as an example because so many people still cling to them. And I get it that you found a lot of worth in it, but you know what? You could still support the things you like, but not give those corporations money. Uh, Just buy third hand at a used bookstore. Um, and even from a clearance house, because there's a whole lot of stuff online where you can buy hardbacks and everything else at a heavily discounted price. You'll be helping that business, but you won't be lining the pockets of everybody else that's freaking failing your legacy characters. Because again, that's my other big axe to grind. It's like there's so much new and interesting stuff out there. We just have to really dig for it. I know it takes a lot because, it's easier to be like, "Oh, this is something that has 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 years of history versus this is a new IP that has maybe 10 years of history." Which are people going to look at more because there's more different, I guess, setups or versions of that other character? They're going to go after the IP character that's been around for, you know, a quarter of a century or more, or even up to a century. Uh, yeah, don't sweat the small stuff. Just make what you want to make. If it doesn't happen to match my wheelhouse, okay. That's why I'm making what I want to make, because I want to feed my wheelhouse some more. It takes a lot, it really does. I mean, you'll have to put time, effort, and sometimes even money into it. But you know what? Support your own IP and get it out there. Uh, the biggest thing, I guess, is just doing a little bit of research on the business side if you want to make a bigger landing. I'm no business pro, I'm just learning as I go. And I'm finding that useful because in a couple of years when I do launch, it'll be a lot um, more cohesive. Yeah, there we go. I'll understand a lot of things a lot better. But yeah, that's the big thing, people. Don't let the gatekeeping of originality keep you from writing whatever story, even if it's come before, even if somebody else did it before you. Put your own spin on it, because that's one thing that is more original is yourself. Nobody else is exactly like you. So you're going to bring your own sensibilities to whatever story is being told. Have a good day, everybody.